Hello guys, I want to talk with you today about Florida Governor Ron Desantis, how the national media is generally treating him, and how he is being considered an alternative to Trump on the side of the GOP, and quite frankly a lot of his corruption that we've seen since he's been governor, and his and his hyperbole and a lot of his in a lot of what he says. So I generally I see him as a fraud personally. Then again, I see Trump as a fraud and Biden as a fraud. They're all frauds. But at least with Trump, I respect what he's. You see, there's a big difference to me between Trump and Ron DeSantis. Trump is a joke. I've always seen Trump as a joke. He's a reality TV star who has a lot of half-baked opinions, and that being said, he also is a big free speech advocate in the sense that he's become a free speech victim. I wouldn't even be surprised if Trump were also opposed to free speech on the left if Trump could get the media on his side. Now, Trump didn't go that strategy, and it's pretty clear, and it seems hard to believe that he would ever have won the support of if he would ever win the support of the media, even if he played nice with them, with all, given all his rhetoric about immigration and everything else he said controversial, and it wouldn't have gone over as well because he played that adversarial role. So I believe there is quite a bit different between Trump and DeSantis. They're both corrupt, but at least Trump I know is a joke, and I've always seen him as a clown who fell backwards into becoming a free speech advocate and free speech right hero to me. That's why I generally support him going forward, because I see what's going on in the Biden administration and all their efforts against free speech. So that's where I draw the line between DeSantis and Trump. DeSantis is trying to portray, he plays the populist messaging just like Trump, and he talks about free speech and reining in these woke corporations and these woke, well, I don't know, whatever you want to say. The liberals, radical Democrats are trying to run away with our politics. That messaging is seen in both Trump and DeSantis. It's unclear if DeSantis picked up on that clearly Trump did it first and DeSantis followed, but DeSantis generally tries to treat himself as a serious politician, and Trump has never been really that serious. He's always, whoops, dropped my card. He's always been seen as a buffoon, even from, and I honestly, I voted for him in 2016, and I still see him as that, but I see him as more as Trump as a free speech symbol. It's more about what Trump represents, less about less about what he's actually done, because that's how terrible our political system has gotten. That I'd rather vote that a clown is more palatable than the status quo. But there's a big difference there in how the media has been handling these two candidates. So DeSantis gets a lot of good press from a variety of media who would otherwise have not given that to Trump. So the New York Times and Washington Post have both called DeSantis kind of a leader of the right, and they still say it adversarially because they're not supposed to like DeSantis or what he has to say. They're liberal news outlets. But and Business Insider goes into a description pretty recently about how DeSantis can beat Trump. And then there's a variety of YouTubers, such as Awaken with JP or China Uncensored, who have equated Ron DeSantis to Donald Trump, or even called him preferable or an alternative in some ways. I haven't followed up with all the YouTubers. I don't follow the big ones like Steven Crowder or Ben Shapiro. However, I from the ones I do follow, like Awakening with JP and China Uncensored, they seem comfortable with DeSantis. And when I see all these different news and media outlets and independent news even that they're all playing the same tune. You know, there's all these different Democrat or Republicans who could run for president, and including Donald Trump themselves, and yet they're all kind of singing the tune of Ron DeSantis, even though he's only been, at least Trump has been in politics since 2017. DeSantis, although he had actually scratched that, DeSantis was in the House since like 2012. So DeSantis does have political experience longer than Trump, but Trump was in the White House and DeSantis wasn't. And there's a lot of media sources and independent outlets out there who clearly want DeSantis to be president. So that's what I'm touching on here, is largely that DeSantis is the media darling, and that is very concerning to me. That question, that's a big red flag to me on DeSantis, is why does the media keep talking him up? Why are they inflating this conversation? Why are they pushing for him? Why has DeSantis raised over $100 million in his political action committee, his super PAC, just in 2021, and why he expects to raise upwards of $150 million in his re-election race this year? And right now, Ron DeSantis outspends he's got a budget for his campaign of something like 12 times what his opponent, the Democratic opponent in November has. And even Donald Trump has raised $140 million to DeSantis' $100 million. So the former president of the United States is just barely outraising Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor. Trump is barely outraising Ron DeSantis right now, and I assume with Trump it's money that he's raising in order to distribute to different political candidates he likes around the country, local representatives. So, and then there's also stuff like. There's a story recently about $624 million in tax refunds that Ron DeSantis that was signed into law last year, and as of May has fully paid out this $600 million in tax refunds to corporations. 99% of Florida companies pay no corporate income tax. That's almost all of them. And this is at a time when Florida housing prices are at the highest rate they've been, and they're raising at the highest rates of the United States. Florida housing prices are skyrocketing, higher than almost anywhere else in the country. DeSantis apparently is worth now over $50 million, even though he wasn't even a millionaire when he was elected just 2 years ago. So that's kind of remarkable. How do you go from being not a millionaire to being worth $50 million? How do you go from being a nobody in 2018 to almost raising as much as the former President Trump? As well as Florida is ranked 48th in tax fairness. They're ranked 44th in education spending. Florida is ranked 49th in income inequality. And again, and DeSantis enjoys a media tongue bath all the time, whether it's from independent YouTubers I follow, or whether it's from the big names, publications on the left and the right, nationally known publications. They all seem to want DeSantis to replace Trump, and the corporations. I'm trying to dig into more of this, but it's difficult to actually find the details of the specific donors, but DeSantis is getting big money, and he's getting more money than any other Republican besides maybe Donald Trump. And DeSantis is just seen as a more palatable, less controversial Donald Trump, who will talk the talk on culture war issues, but when it comes to corruption, he'll do it just as much or more than Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong, Donald Trump, plenty corrupt, very corrupt. But it's not really about Trump's corruption as much as it is about what he symbolizes. And as far as I'm concerned, Trump symbolizes a political figure that the rest of the media world and the elites and even the Rhino Republicans hate. So I would have to always strongly advocate for Trump over DeSantis. Anyway, thank you guys.